Hi, it's Miss Torzilli here, and we're going to do the one variable equations and inequalities sample work. So first, let's label our paper. You can abbreviate sample work with SW. In the top right corner, please put your name. And then down here, we're actually going to do the problems. So for your sample work, it has to be done on paper. So make sure you have a piece of paper. You should. Make sure you have a pencil. I'm using a marker, so it's easier for you guys to see in the recording. But please use a pencil, and please write as neatly as possible. All right, we're going to start with question one. Question one says to solve the equation. So first, I'm going to label that I'm doing question one. And then you don't have to write down every single word. I need you to write down the actual equation we're solving. So that's 3 equals -2, the absolute value of 14s minus 5 close the absolute value plus 3. Now we have to solve this equation. To solve this equation, we're trying to figure out what s is equal to. I prefer my variable to be on the left side, so I'm just going to rewrite this problem the opposite way. So -2, 14s minus 5 plus 3 is equal to 3. So now I follow my solving steps to simplify this. Step 1, I'm going to draw a line to separate my left side from my right side. And now I'm going to slowly solve this using my solving steps. First, we want to get that absolute value expression by itself. So we need to get rid of this -2 and this plus 3. We're going to start with the plus 3 by doing the opposite operation, which is -3 to both sides. Three minus 3 is 0, so those cancel out. On the right, we actually subtract those. 3 minus 3 is 0. And then we bring down the rest of the expression that is left over. So we have -2, absolute value of 14s minus 5. Now we want to get the absolute value expression by itself, so we need to get rid of the -2. Right now, what's happening between the -2 and the absolute value is they are being multiplied. So remember, we're always doing the inverse operation. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by -2. -2 divided by -2 is 1. So those cancel out. So now we're left with our absolute value, which is 14s minus 5 is equal 0 divided by -2 is still 0. Since the absolute value is 0, we just need to take the absolute value bars away and solve for s. So we have 14s minus 5 is equal to 0. Again, follow our normal solving steps. We have to get rid of the -5 by doing the opposite. Opposite of -5 is +5 to both sides. So +5, +5. Need my line a little bit longer. Okay, over here, -5 plus 5 is 0, so those cancel out. So we're left with 14s is equal to 0 plus 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. Now we need to get s all by itself. Right now, the 14 and the s are being multiplied. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we divide both sides by 14. 14 divided by 14 is 1. So we're left with s is equal to 5 over 14. I didn't say write it as a decimal or a fraction, so we'll leave it like that. If we wanted it as a fraction, we just do 5 divided by 14, and that give us that number, 0.357. But please leave it as a fraction. Okay, that's question 1. I need you to show your work, just like I did, and I need you to circle your final answer. And then, if you're trying to save paper space, which I would appreciate, I need you to either draw a line to separate each question or box it around so when I'm looking at it, it's very clear which number we're working with. Okay, let's go to question 2. I might have to share my screen on this one. All right, question 2. A student solved the equation -1 over 4, 20x minus 8 equals 1 over 5 times 10x plus 16 as shown. In which step does an error appear first? So we're going to look through and see where the error is. Part B, solve the equation correctly and show all your work. So I think it's easier for to do this is we solve it and then we kind of look at our steps compared to what the steps are the student made and then see where the error is. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve it ourselves first. Okay, so number 2, we have an equation, -1 over 4, 20x minus 8 equals 1 over 5, 10x plus 16. All right, again, separate our left side from right side. So we're just going to draw a line between these two. All right, step 1 is we're going to do the distributive property. I'm going to distribute this -1 over 4 to everything inside the parenthesis and this 1/5 to everything inside the parenthesis. So first let's do that. -1 over 4 times 20x is -5x. And if you need, you can always use a calculator. So 1 over 4, make it negative, times 20, -5. -1 over 4 times -8. Negative times a negative is a positive. I do know that. And that will be +2. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. 1/5 times 10x is 2x. And that plus 16 is not in the parenthesis, so we just bring it down. Okay, now we want all of our variables to be on one side and all of our numbers to be on the opposite side. Let's start with our variables. I like my variables to be on the left, so I'm going to move the 2x over here. This is a positive 2x. To move it across the line, we do the opposite. Opposite of positive 2x is -2x. So we do -2x on both sides. And then we have to simplify it. -5x minus 2x is -7x. The +2 doesn't change, so it just comes down. 2x minus 2x is 0, so they cancel out, and this is equal to 16. Now we have a normal 2-step equation. Now we can use our normal solving steps. We want to keep the variable term on the left side, so we're going to get rid of the 2. Opposite of +2 is -2. Make my line a little bit longer. 2 minus 2 is 0, so they cancel out. My -7x comes down, but I'm going to bring it closer to my line. On the right, we need to subtract 16 minus 2, which is 14. And then our last step to get x by itself is to divide both sides by -7. And then that will give us our answer for x. X is equal to 14 divided by -7 is -2. Okay, so we answered part B, but now we have to answer part A. So let's see where the error is. Okay, so step 1, they multiplied -4 times 20x minus 8. So the same thing we did. So our first step is the same. We're good there. The next step, they did, looks like they added 5x over to 2x. And that was the error. So step 2 is the error. Because they should have gotten the number of either +7 or -7, right here, like we got. Since ours is on the left side, we got a -7, but we're over here, it would have been a +7. They got the answer of -3x. So step 2 has the error. So this is our part B answer. And then I'm going to just circle my answers. I'm just going to draw a line to separate this. And we're going to move on to question 3. Solve the formula for H. The surface area of the cylinder is, so this is number 3, capital S is equal to 2r squared plus 2rh. And we're solving for H. Okay, very good. Okay, again, this is just solving. We're going to do our same steps. We're going to separate our left side from our right side. And our goal is to get this H all by itself. So first, we always look at things that are being added or subtracted to our variable term. So this is being added together. So we just have to do the opposite. So we're going to minus 2r squared from both sides. These are not like terms, so we can't combine them. So we just put them next to each other. So minus 2r squared equals 2rh. We're solving for h, so h is going to stay. All of these are being multiplied, so we just have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, to get rid of the two terms we don't want. We don't want the 2 here, we don't want the r here. So that's what we're dividing by, 2r. The r and the 2 get crossed out, so now we have our answer for h. H is equal to capital S minus 2r squared over 2r. And done. Circle your answer. All right, and let's move on to number 4. I think I can squeeze number 4 right here. You are paid, this is question 4. You are paid 1.2 times your normal hourly rate for each hour you work over 40 hours a week. You work 46 hours this week and earn $462.56. What is your normal hourly rate? Okay, so we don't know how much our hourly rate is. So that's our mystery. That's our variable. That's our unknown. We're going to use X to represent our hourly rate. We know if we work more than 40 hours, we get 1.2 times the hourly rate. Hourly rate is X, so we'll get 1.2 times X. This week, our earnings was 462.56. 462.56. We have to figure out what is our normal hourly rate. We have enough information to create an equation. All right, so, and we know we worked 46 hours this week. So first, our normal 40 hours is at pay rate of X plus our additional hours. We worked 6 additional hours from 40. 46 minus 40 is 6. And that rate is 1.2 of X. And that total is $462.56. So we're trying to figure out how much we get paid per hour. Okay, we set up our equation. This is us working 40 hours, getting our normal pay. This is us working 6 additional hours and getting our 1.2 times our normal pay. All right, from here, we just have to simplify it and solve for X, and then we'll figure out how much our normal rate is. All right, 40X doesn't change. We're going to draw our line again. We're going to distribute that 6 to everything inside the parenthesis. So 6 times 1.2. Need my calculator for this one. 7.2. And that equals 462.56. These two are like terms. They both have an X, the same exponent. So we can add these two together. 40X plus 7.2X is 47.2X. And that still equals 462.56. Now we just have to get X by itself. We're going to divide both sides by 47.2. The 47.2 cancels out, so we have X, which represents our hourly rate, is equal to, let's see, 462.56 divided by 47.2. Oh, got to update this question for the new times. So your normal rate is $9.80 per hour. And that's the answer to number 4. I'm going to circle that. And I think we're out of space on this page. And we're going to flip over and go to number 5. All right, number 5. Write and solve an equation to find the number n. The sum of twice a number and 13 is 75. All right, so we got to use our keywords. The word sum, that means add. The number twice means multiply. More specifically, 2 times. And then the word is means equal, like the equal sign. All right, we got all the information. Now we should have enough to solve, to create our equation and then solve it. The sum, so plus twice a number, we don't know the number, so it's just 2x, and 13 is or equal 75. Done. All right, part one was to write the equation. We have it written. Next is to solve it. So same thing, draw a line, separate our left side from right side, and then solve for x. Step one, subtract 13 from both sides. Thirteen minus 13 is 0, so that cancels out. So we have 2x is equal to 75 minus 13. If you're ever unsure, just use a calculator. 62. I think I knew that. All right, 2x equals 62. Now we have to solve for x. Remember, to solve for x, we do the opposite. Right now, 2 and x are being multiplied. Opposite of that is dividing. Divide both sides by 2. The 2's cancel out. So we have our answer of x is equal to 62 divided by 2 is 31. And that's it for number 5. Number 6. Solve the inequality and graph the solution. Okay, so first we're going to write down inequality, and then once we're done, we will create our number line and then graph it on there. So we have negative 7.5 is less than 2 minus h, or 6h plus 5 is greater than 71. All right, we're going to solve these separately and then we'll graph it. Just like equations with inequalities, same thing. We're going to separate our left side from right side, and our goal is to get the variable by itself. Okay. What's happening here? We have 2 minus h. That minus goes with the h, so the h is negative. This 2 is positive. So to get rid of the 2, we have to subtract 2 from both sides. Easy enough. So now we have negative h on the right, and on the left we have negative 7.5 minus 2. Please use a calculator for the negatives. That is negative 9.5. All right, we need the value of h, not the value of negative h. So we have to get rid of that negative. The way we do that is dividing by negative 1. I'll start on the left. Negative 9.5 divided by negative 1 is positive 9.5. When you divide or multiply by a negative, your inequality symbol flips to the opposite direction. And then we have h. So this states 9.5 is greater than h, or h is less than 9.5. You can read it either way. All right, now we're going to move on to this one. Same thing, draw a line, separate our left side and right side, and we're going to solve it. First, we have to get the variable term by itself by getting rid of the 5. The opposite of plus 5 is minus 5. So subtract 5 on both sides. We have 6h is greater than, again, if you need, use your calculator, 71 minus 5, 66. And then to get the h by itself, subtract 6. Divide 6 on both sides. Apologies. And then we have our answer. H looks like a B. H is greater than 66 divided by 6 is 11. Okay, now we're going to draw our number line. It doesn't have to be a super long one. It just needs to have these two numbers, 9.5 and 11. So I'm going to go 8 to 12. I think that's a pretty good spread. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I like to leave a lot of space. Just makes it easier to write. And I'm going to do the half marks in the middle to make our life a little bit easier. Okay, first one. This one's easier to handle, I think. So we have h is greater than 11. We go to 11. We put an open circle. It's greater than, so that means it's going to point to the right. So I'm going to draw an arrow to the right. This one says 9.5 is greater than h, or h is less than 9.5. So we go to 9.5, which is between 9 and 10. Open circle again, and then this is also less than. So we're going to go to the left. All right, boom. That is number 6. All right, question 7. The graph shows the hourly rate. The graph shows the hourly wage requirement, M, in dollars for employees in a state. Write an inequality that represents the state hourly wage requirement. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I'm looking at, because we don't need to like write anything down. We just really need to answer for question 7. All right, let's make sure it's sharing. All right, perfect. Okay. All right, so we have to write an inequality that represents this situation. So we have a closed circle on a number between 9.5 and between 9 and 9.5. Okay. And it has a closed circle and it's going to the right. I know going to the right means greater than. I know a closed circle means equal to. So it's greater than or equal to. They tell us to use the letter M, and we know what number we're on. We're between 9 and 9.5, which is 9.25. So I think we have enough information to draw our inequality. Okay. So we're using M, and it has to be greater than or equal to. That's based on the closed circle. And then 9.25. Done. That's the answer. Let's box that up. Sometimes they're pretty straightforward. All right, let's move on to question 8. What is the solution to the equation 280 equals -8, -14 plus x? There's a couple ways you could solve this. Typically, distributive property, subtract, and then divide. You could divide first if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. But we'll do our normal steps. Usually I flip this around, but I'll show you that it doesn't matter what order, which direction you solve it in, you'll still get the same answer. So step 1, distribute the -8 to everything in the parenthesis. The 280 doesn't change. Then we're going to multiply -8 times -14. Again, no harm in using a calculator. Just make sure you use it correctly. 112. -8 times 1x is -8x. Next, we have to get rid of the 112, moving it to the other side. That means opposite operation. It's a positive 112. Opposite of that is -112 or -112. All right, subtracting that. I have no idea what that is. So we're going to use a calculator. 280 minus 112 is 168. And then we have negative 8x that we brought down. Now, I think we know the steps by now. To solve for x, we've got to get rid of the negative 8 by doing the opposite operation, which is dividing. I think the answer is negative 21, but we're going to check with the calculator to be on the safe side. 168 divided by negative 8, negative 21. So x equals negative 21 equals x. Doesn't matter which order. All done. All right, let me box this up. I mean, I feel like we can fit one here, but that seems a little tough. We'll see. Number 9. Solve 20x plus 5y equals 15 for y. I don't think we can fit it there. So we will go over here. So we have 20x plus 5y equals 15. And we're solving for y. Trying to get y by itself. Same thing. Draw our line. We're going to keep this variable term, 5y, here. Everything else goes away. So we have to get rid of this 20x by doing the opposite. It's a positive 20x. To get rid of it, we subtract. So minus 20x minus 20x. The 5y comes down. So we have 5y is equal to, order doesn't matter. If you want to put the negative 20x first or the 15 first, doesn't matter. I'm just going to go in order. So we have 15 minus 20x. Now we have to get rid of that y. We need to get we need to get rid of the 5. We need to get the y by itself. By doing that, we divide both sides by 5. Make sure you divide this whole expression by 5, the 15 and the negative 20x. So now we have y equals, now we have to divide 15 divided by 5. You divide them separately. 15 divided by 5 is 3. We know that. And then negative 20x divided by 5 is negative 4x. And there's your answer. Okay, let's move on to number 10. The sales price S in dollars of an item is given by the formula S equals L minus RL, where L is the list price in dollars, R is the percent discount. Solve the formula for R. And then part 2, the list price for a shirt is $21.50. What is the percent discount? Okay, so first step, let's do part 1. We're going to solve for R. And this is number 10. And then part 1. So our formula is capital S equals L minus RL. And we're going to solve for R. Okay, what we've been doing this entire time, we're going to get that variable term by itself. First, we're going to do subtract L on both sides. We have S minus L is equal to RL. These are being multiplied. We do the opposite of multiplication, which is dividing. So now we have R is equal to S minus L over L. So I'm going to write that equation this way. So we have it S minus L over L. Okay, part 1 done. Part 2. The list price of a shirt is $21.50. It tells us in the sentences that L is the list price. So that is $21.50. And then from the picture, we know the sales price, which is S, is $17.20. So we are trying to figure out how much was the percent discount. So we fill in the information we know into our equation, and then we should get our R. Okay, so R is equal to S minus L. So S is $17.20. And then minus list price, which is $21.50. And that is divided by L, which is $21.50. Okay, so we just have to simplify this. We simplify the top. So we have $17.20 minus $21.50, which is negative 4.3. Oh, I did this wrong. I forgot the minus here. So that goes there. So this should be minus R. So actually, the easiest way would be to just divide by negative L. So divide by negative L. So our formula should look like that. So the easier fix is just make this a negative. See, even your math teacher makes mistakes, but simple fix. I knew the answer wasn't going to be right because our rate shouldn't be negative. So that's why I was a little confused. All right, so let's try this again. So 17.20 minus 21.50 is negative 4.3. And we're going to divide that by negative 21.50, which makes more sense, which is 0.2. So the percent discount, so R equals 0.2. As a percent, 0.2 would be 20%. Not a bad discount. Not the greatest, but not bad. All right, number 11. You and your friend drive toward each other. The equation 50h equals 190 minus 45h represents the number of hours until you and your friend meet. After how many hours will you meet? All right, so we have an equation, 50h equal to 190 minus 45h. All right, we just have to solve for h. I'm going to get all my h's on the same side. So I'm going to get that 45 to be on the left side. So I'm going to do plus 45h plus 45h. 50 plus 45 is 95. And that equals 190. To get the h by itself, we divide both sides by 95. 95h divided by 95 is just h. Well, really it's 1h, but we just put h. And then 190 divided by 95, I think it's 2, but I'm just going to confirm with the calculator. Yes, it's 2. So it would take 2 hours for you and your friend to meet. 2 more. All right, number 13 is pretty straightforward. We just have to graph the inequality. X is greater than 2. I'm going to draw a number line. You don't need a crazy long one. 0, 1, 2, 3 is plenty. It's the greater than symbol. So that's an open circle. Greater than means to the right. Draw an arrow to the right. Done. All right, last one, number 14. The altitude A in feet of a plane t minutes after takeoff is given by the equation A equals 3,400 t plus 600. How many minutes after takeoff is the plane at an altitude of 21,000 feet? All right, I think I can fit it here. That'd be a little tight. All right, so number 14. Our equation given is A equals 3,400 t plus 600. And it wants to know how many minutes. So we're searching for t after takeoff of the plane at an altitude of 21,000 feet. So A is 21,000. So replace the A with 21,000. 3,400 t plus 600. We are solving for t. So subtract 600 on both sides. I don't have enough space for this. All right. 21000 minus 600 is that number. 20400 equals 3400 t. All right, we divide both sides by 3,400, and that'll give us our answer for t. So 20400 divided by 3400 is 6. That's so short. 6 minutes to go 21,000 feet. Okay, that's your sample work.